Let's see the sides. 45, right? 45.
Yeah, let me take this off real quick.
Where, I mean,
You see, you see that? See that?
it's the thing about Trump that I think a lot of people on the left don't understand is that like he understands the internet. He understands social media more than anybody, right?
Big time.
Branding, the hats. Like you go to a rally, I've been to a few, and it's just red hats everywhere. And it's, it's like a concert. It's like a concert or some, like.
That's for real, man.
I don't know, like any celebrity you would see, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely got that's definitely the movie star in him, right? Like he came from that life, the reality TV, and boy, it turned out well for him, at least for one term. So,
do you think? I mean, you think he's going to win? Though, right?
No. I think he's going to lose.
You think he's going to? Yeah. I think he's going to win.
You think he's going to win?
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe the polling, right? And even the polling says that he's like Biden has a similar advantage over him than Hillary did.
Yeah.
And Hillary won by 3 million votes, almost 3 million votes. But it's not about that. It's about winning in certain areas, not even in certain states, just in certain parts, certain suburbs of the country. You have to win, right?
Yeah, man. Because districts,
Republicans are exactly
gotta win those districts.
Like Republicans are going to win certain places all the time. Democrats are going to win certain places all the time. So the electoral map, the electoral college, really has the parties fighting over two like small areas. Again, like a couple suburbs here and there.
Yeah,
and it flips the whole country that way. Left or right.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I mean, is it actually a democracy or is it not? Right? I think I remember in 2016, right, when people were, all pissed off that Hillary won by 3 million votes. But then she lost, and all I kept hearing was, well, how does that make sense, right? So I don't know the answer to that. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that, because this is how it's been done. But I think it's interesting that in 2000 we had this, right, where Bush lost the popular vote, but he still became president, and now Trump. So it's I don't know, man. It's an interesting subject for sure.
Well, I read something, Now Trump has 3 justices on the Supreme Court. It's the Trump Supreme Court, right? And it will be that for 20, 30 years, right? Because Amy Coney Barrett, she's young. She's going to be on there for a minute, and she's super Christian, super family. So, Chief Justice Roberts was kind of the swing vote. But now no matter what, it's just going to be whatever gets sent to the Supreme Court. You already know it's going to be. It's six Republicans versus 3 Democrats, or liberals versus conservatives.
And I got a buddy on Facebook as well who lives in California. Great guy, probably the most liberal person that you'll ever meet. And he's so pessimistic, but he's saying, it doesn't matter who wins, right? Because they have the court. So whatever law so let's say that Biden wins and Dems win the Senate and the House, right? It doesn't matter, because as soon as it gets challenged and it goes up to the Supreme Court, that shit is struck down. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting take on that.
No, but it is true. I mean, Supreme Court's the final word, right? What desegregated the schools, Brown versus, it's the Supreme Court is the last word, man.
So it's curious, right? I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it's curious to see, because I've, kind of the rebuttal to that is, should the Dems pack the court, right? And I was watching something, I can't remember exactly what it was, but they were saying that throughout our history, presidents have added or taken away the number of justices, right? So I think the only, shot if Biden and the Dems win the Senate is to add more justices, right? Or else you're screwed. So it would be interesting to see, man, how that works,
But the problem is, I was reading that, the most senators rejected Amy Coney Barrett, right? Only the Republicans supported her, right? So the senators who rejected Trump's pick represented 13 million more people in America than the senators who supported her. So that 6 that 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court is actually, it's a majority on the Supreme Court, but they represent a minority and a shrinking minority of political opinion in this country. But the way the Electoral College works, again, that, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, they have the same senators each as Illinois, New York, California, where most people live.
Isn't that crazy, man? So I'm a huge Bill Maher fan.
It is crazy.
I watch it every Friday night. I don't know if you watch the show.
I've been watching him since the 90s, since Politically Incorrect.
I love that man, right? He is so spot on, and he hits that every week. And he goes, how is freaking North Dakota and South Dakota 2 states, right? Like how is that even, like how and why? You know what I mean? And then you got California with like a whole country of people in California that has the same amount of representation. It's
something like the 5th or 7th largest economy in the world, just a California by itself, 5th or 7th largest economy in the world. Yeah.
So if people, and I know, a lot of us are smart, but like, that can make people angry, man. Like, it's like, wait a minute. Yeah. Like, how is this the way that it is? It's just, I mean, it's tough, man,
So let's get into this. I mean, you're starting off this this chat of ours, like a hardcore liberal, right? You listen to Bill Maher, all this stuff.
Yeah.
I think Bill Maher's, he's gotten richer and he's moderated it a little bit more since I've been listening to him for 20 years. He's moderated. Now he's rich and shit, hangs out with like senators and shit. He wants to be friends with them, right? So he's like, maybe we shouldn't have a socialist revolution anymore. Maybe we shouldn't do this or that. But so, I had Chris on, right? And he was telling me that you were a hardcore Democrat.
Hardcore,
and then
man.
And then he introduced you to QAnon and stuff like that. Hey, did you hear about this?
Yeah.
And you're like, you read up on it. And you're like, holy fuck, man! Like the shit you showed me, and now you're wearing Keep America
rabbit
Great.
hole, dude.
Walk us through that story, man. Walk us through that. How that happened.
So and I want to make sure
it's happened to a lot of people, and especially. I just want to, before you say anything, it's happened to a lot of people this year, right? With the pandemic and everything, and like people are like, they either went super left or super right? There's nobody in the middle anymore. The pandemic did that, something to that.
Well, I'm glad you said that at the end there. So, like, I've always been a moderate, right? So I've never been a liberal, never been conservative. I have things I like about both sides. Barack Obama, who I still love, right? He's the one that's gotten me into politics, following him, the first Black president. So that's what got me into politics. And like you were saying, obviously coming into 2020, it's been a crazy year. And Chris, God bless him, was showing me some of the stuff that he found. And he's always been more of a conspiracy theorist kind of a person. I haven't been. I thought that stuff was just garbage, right? But then, it's pandemic time. We're sitting in the house. He's like, dude, check this out. So here's how it started. I Googled John Podesta's artwork. Right. And I'm sure you know who that is. For those of you that don't, that is.
Well, he told us on the podcast about.
Yeah. That's Barack Obama's one of his senior advisors. And he was also an advisor to the Hillary Clinton campaign. Right. So I Googled this, and you can Google this now, folks. Like, go ahead and try it out. You Google John Podesta's artwork. It's all kinds of sick pedophilia, children, just some horrible stuff on there. And I'm like, whoa, that's kind of odd. Right. And then you dig and you dig and you dig and you dig and you dig. And it's like, there's something weird going on here. Like there's something strange. I don't know if it's as elaborate as the whole QAnon says, or if it's,
but there's definitely something weird going on.
There's something going on. Cause I wouldn't see that. Right. And then COVID hit, and first of all, I had it. Right. I was mildly sick. I did have it. Yeah, I did have COVID back in August. Was mildly sick for about 12 days, and I've been perfect ever since, right? And, I if there's one thing I'm with Trump on is this whole COVID stuff, right? Yes, it's a real virus, and yes, it's a disease, but it is, I think the media has weaponized that to get him out of office, which, I get it, right? I get it. But it's just crazy that, we're going to use a virus for political purposes. So all you see on the news is, we got more cases of COVID, and this person's dying, and it's like, well, there's 8 million of us who've had it and are perfect. Like, why don't you show us? Like, I'll come on TV.
I have this argument with people all the time close to me. Like, like in 1967, they lost, they had a pandemic that year, right? And they lost the United States, something like 200,000 people died 1967.
Yeah.
We've never heard of that pandemic, you know?
Right.
And now there's way more people in the United States now. And so 220 million people is 220,000 people is a lot of people. But perspective and not perspective, but what is it called? You're blowing it out proportion, right?
Yeah.
Like, are we going to stop an economy? Are we going to stop a country, 330 million people for what's 220,000 people? What's that fraction?
Dude, it is, I mean, that is so true what you're saying right now. And I don't know if you know this or not, but in 2009, when the swine flu came out, 60 million Americans got the swine flu. 60 million Americans had swine flu, right? Thank God it wasn't as deadly as COVID, right?
Right.
But I don't even remember that until I saw the stats. I'm like, wow, that's true. And there was no freaking masks and no one was freaking out. It was just like, oh, it's just another flu. And you just get, you know what I mean? So it's just crazy to see how we're handling this and how the media is just all in on
it's politics, right? I mean, it's the politics of it, because the Republicans they're in charge, so they're trying to say the Republicans are in charge, so they're trying to say, like, okay, it's not a big deal, let's just ignore it, it'll go away,
right.
Which is the wrong response, right?
Yep.
But then the Democrats are saying,
exactly,
the world is on fire, it's all Trump's fault, everybody's dying, so everybody's wrong, everybody's blowing it out of proportion, everybody's wrong about it. The truth is in the middle.
Exactly, and that's a problem. That's a problem with our country, man. I don't know if it's a problem. I'll let the people decide that. But it's almost like everything now has a political angle to it, right? Even our health, right? Even our health.
Entertainment, arts, music, everything is.
Yeah. Everything. Everyone has a freaking agenda about everything. And that's what one thing that I've taken from my whole conspiracy theory, going on a rabbit hole thing, is I just don't trust the media on first glance anymore, period. Right, left. I'm going to do my own digging and see, okay, what is the facts behind the facts, man?
So what is this digging?
They have an agenda.
Keep going. What'd you dig up? The Podesta. Okay.
So, it's
COVID hits.
It's, you just can't, you just can't rely on NBC News, right? Or Fox News, right? Or CNN, right? They have an agenda that they're pushing. You got to Google and you got to go deep and hear some off the wall and go on some blogs and kind of do your own research. But then you add it all up, right? And that's what I was doing. I was like, man, I was reading stuff like that the whole Rothschilds. I don't know that, like, if you ever heard of them.
Yeah, the banking family from Europe.
In the U.S., yeah. And like they're actually controlling, the governments, and they're like the puppet masters, and how it's this whole world order and the whole Illuminati, and and when you actually rack up all those different facts, it's like, man, this makes a lot of sense. Like, this makes a lot of sense. And some of the things that I was seeing, like on YouTube, they actually showed you Google articles like backing up their stuff, right? So it's like, that really happened. So if there's one thing that I want to take away or give to your listeners is, man, just do your own digging, do your own digging, check for yourself before you watch our Rachel Maddow or something. So.
Oh yeah, no, but Rachel Maddow's bought and sold already. MSNBC's done. Baby. I mean, it's just
God.
Yeah, they're. I mean, whatever Fox News is, they're exactly the opposite.
They're the opposite. Yeah. Exactly.
What I've gotten into a good habit of, like, after every debate, I watch it on CNN for whatever reason, but then right after the debate is over, instead of listening to what fucking all those people on CNN have to say, right, Jake Tapper, whoever the fuck, I already know what they're gonna say, right? Anderson Cooper. I already know what the fuck they're gonna say. I go to Fox News, right, just to see, like, okay, this is how I saw the debate. Let me see how these fuckers on the opposite side of me see it, right? Because we're both looking at the same shit. So, the thing is with the media is, like, some of them are fucking lying because they know there's money to be made in fucking playing politics. But some of those motherfuckers believe it, right? So, like, those people interest me, the people who really believe it. So, how did you go from digging up all this weird shit to being like, okay, Trump should be president?
Yeah. So again, it's not, I know it's easy to focus on Trump. I'm wearing the hat and I get it. It's not so much about Trump. It's more about anti-establishment, right? And that could be on both sides, right? I mean, that's not a Republican number. I feel that that there is something going on with these established politicians and these movie stars, and there might be something, kind of weird going on. And and I don't know, like if you've seen all the stuff, but like the Trump administration, right? There's a website called Chicago Backpage, or Backpage for the whole country. And it was basically like a prostitution website, right? And it was, and I know because I went on it to check it out, right? and this was in 2012, right?
Yeah.
And then as soon as Trump came to office, Attorney General Sessions, he got rid of that site. And I'm like, well, why wasn't that done prior to that, right? So this administration has done more to fight human trafficking than any other. Right? I don't know if people know that, but they've been taking down all kinds of prostitution rings, child pedophilia rings. And it's like, well, that's, why don't we hear more about that stuff? Right.
Yeah.
There was an FBI bus in Ohio, I want to say a month ago. Don't quote me on the dates, but, and they just saved another 45 kids from a whole pedophilia ring. Right. So why isn't this on the media? Where do you
get that news? Like, because I don't, I don't really even. I don't trust the news anymore, so I kind of stay away from it. I just read books and stuff. But you have to.
I saw this on. I saw it on Twitter. I saw it on Facebook from multiple friends of mine, and then just people that weren't my friends too. So I believed it after I saw it multiple different times. But again, that's the point. It's not on NBC. It's not on Fox. It can be on Fox sometimes, but they just don't show that stuff. And it's like, well, why? Why isn't this being shown to the people?
Right.
Shouldn't we all hate pedophilia? Right.
And anybody who doesn't believe that Trump's, breaking down all these pedophilia rings and the media's just not showing it. Just look at what he did for prison reform, which is huge.
Yeah.
What he did for prison reform is huge. Yeah. But the media never talks about that. If it was Obama, holy shit.
Oh my God.
They would have,
right?
They would put his dick in a museum, dude. Are you kidding me? Like,
I don't know if you saw I think Lil Wayne just endorsed Trump for president, right? And then 50 Cent and
50 Cent said no. 50 Cent was talking to him, but he went back and he said when he was on the Breakfast Club, said he wants Biden to win and he wants to date Chelsea again.
That's funny.
That's what he said. So
So back to clarify, it's, yes, I like a lot of things that Trump is doing, but again, it's not so much about Trump. It's about, wow, am I anti-establishment now, right? So which happens to be
I assume you have a lot of friends who are pro-Trump now, right? Or you've made friends with people who are pro-Trump?
I always have, man. I've always
and they're
said
everywhere. They're everywhere.
Trump friends. A lot of our friends from back in school, man, right? I have a lot of Trump friends. I have a lot of other friends, the Democratic friends. So I've got a mixture of both, man. Right. And that's what I love about myself, is just being able to navigate and talk to both sides. But still got a lot of Trump friends, tons of them.
That's the other thing that's kind of embarrassing for liberals is that, when Trump got elected, it's just racist white people that elected him. And now you're seeing Latinos for Trump. You're seeing black women for Trump. You're seeing all these groups for Trump, And it's, so what I was going to ask you is like, hey, do you get the sense that, you have to admit, going along that line, that there are just racist white people for Trump who have their own agenda and they see Trump as advancing that, right?
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
100%.
Did it make you nervous at all?
No, Hector, that's a great question. And what I found throughout my life, and I could be wrong, right, is that people, like, let me give you an example, right? Me and Chris went out to some bars in Naperville, okay? And I was wearing my Trump hat, right? I literally had 15 white guys buy me drinks, right? Could be racist, they could not be racist, but they found something in common, and the color didn't matter to them anymore. It was more about, wow, we kind of think the same way, right? And I don't want to, confuse like racism with you having the same thoughts about politics and stuff like that, because there's some hardcore, I hate you because you're black, and I get that. But I tell you, man, when you realize that you have stuff in common with people, and you're not so different, people are afraid of the different. But when they see, man, he's kind of like me, it kind of goes away. So that's kind of been my experience with it. Again, I haven't met no KKK, I want to hang you kind of guy, but
Yeah, I just realized that, it came to mind that there's got to be white people who hate black and Latino people because they vote Democrat. Those black and Latinos vote Democrat, and they hate the Democrat. Yeah. These white people hate the Democratic Party. So you guys are fucking sheep. You guys are being duped by these fucking pedophiles. So it's almost not even a race thing. Race might be introduced to it, but once you're like, oh no, I'm not a Democrat. I don't fucking believe in that, because it happens to me too, right?
Yeah.
Like white people will be like, oh, like. They'll try to talk shit about Obama. I'm like, yeah, Obama. I don't like Obama either. I don't like Hillary either. And they're like, oh, well.
Yeah, right.
I was just about to call you the N-word, but I guess I won't. You guys are friends now. You know what I mean? But what I was gonna say is, like, talking to your friends. I mean, do you get the sense then that, and I get the sense that a lot of people like Trump, who aren't racist, who just see him as a giant middle finger to the system, right?
Yeah,
and
man.
A middle finger's ugly. It's not pretty, but it's a middle finger, and he's our middle finger, and so they're gonna back him up.
Yeah, and think about all of our past presidents, right? Even Obama, they're all kind of scripted, right? Like there's a certain way to talk, there's a certain way to act, and the presidential conduct, and you got to talk like this. And
even after Trump, YouTube, like we're talking right now, we're not scripted right now, and this is like the new normal for us. Right. And so when we see an older person in a suit go on there, or a woman in a pantsuit saying, and they do this with their finger, anybody who does this with their hand is fucking full of shit, right? And so I don't know why they keep doing it, man.
So like, think about that, man. And Trump said, "Fuck you" to all that shit. He said, "I am the new president, right? I'm gonna tweet. I'm gonna tweet every day. Fuck going to the media. Fuck CNN. Fuck. I'm gonna tweet what I want to say, right?" And I think just people love the authenticity of him, right or wrong. They just like that. Whoa, he isn't part of this system. He's not part of this system that so many people have came before him. So I think that's very appealing to a lot of people, And
I wrote, like, in July 2016, I wrote that he was going to win, because I just saw that there was way more excitement. I've talked about this a bunch of times. There's way more excitement, even now, but back then, there's always been way more excitement for him than for whoever the Democratic candidate is, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, I knew that for me, I thought, okay, Trump becoming president would be a disaster, that Hillary would just keep things together. She'd keep the program. But I'm like, fuck the program, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if it takes somebody like Trump going in there and fucking shitting on everything and everybody getting all mad, then if that's the wake-up call that America needs, like, 'cause I knew that if Hillary won, America wouldn't wake up. The liberals would be like,
more the same.
We did our great thing that one day, and now we could just ignore the fucking politics for another 4 years until the next election comes. And then, because Hillary was fucking crooked, man. Like, crooked Hillary, she's crooked. And when our side, when liberals are saying she's not crooked, there's nothing to see here, Same thing with Biden. Like, oh, Biden's not a bad candidate. He's a terrible candidate.
Yeah.
Just tell me he's a terrible candidate. Don't make me feel like I'm stupid for thinking he's a terrible candidate.
There's a reason why he hasn't won, and he's ran like 18 times already, right? Like, there's a reason why he's never won.
Oh, you see, in 1986?
Yeah, like, come on, guys.
Like, he had to drop out of the race because he got caught lying, like, about being top of his law class and all that shit. And now he's out on the debate stage saying, "There's a difference between me and Trump. I'm honest. I'm stand by my." I'm like, dude. There's
like,
the
how
internet.
many black and brown folks are in jail because of his crime bill in '92, right? It's funny how we just have short memories. Yeah. But this guy literally put millions of us in fucking jail, right? Him and Clinton were both like, people just have short memories, man.
And Trump's comeback, and I sound like I'm supporting Trump, but I don't. But he tore him up in this last debate. He tore him up.
Yes.
He tore him up because he's like, then Joe, why? If you're gonna do all this shit, how come you haven't done it? You've been in the fucking Senate since the 70s.
Yeah.
How come you haven't done it? How come you're the author of the crime bill? How come you're the author of the prison industrial complex? How come you and Barack Obama helped build the cages? Help help deport people. Obama's deported more people than Trump ever has.
Yes. So like, not even close. The freaking deporter in chief, they called him. Right.
So we're against Trump because he says what people like Biden actually feel but would never say in front of a camera.
Hector, like, I kind of, to piggyback on you, I make it a point to watch Fox and MSNBC, right? And what people don't realize about television or programming, and programming is a word I want to specify.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. Where'd you pick that up? Where'd you pick that up? On those fucking websites you read.
Some of my QAnon shit. These are here to program you. They're here to program you
for sure
to think a certain way.
For sure.
It doesn't matter that Biden signed the fucking crime bill, because we're programming you that, like he's better than Trump and he's not a racist, and they're programming you to think a certain way. Like I can literally watch Fox and then I'm like, wow, I hate freaking Democrats. And then I could watch MSNBC and say, wow, I hate those racist freaking Republicans, right? Like it literally makes you feel that way if you watch it, and it's just, they're programming you, man. They're programming you to think a certain way,
So, I mean, so you think you want Trump, you don't think he's going to win, but you would want him to be reelected over Biden because Biden.
This is so hard for me, man, because there's things I like about both of them, right? And ultimately, I'm the kind of guy that I'm going to be okay whoever wins. Like, honest to God, I will be fine whoever wins. And so will you, and so will Chris. Like, because we don't rely, at least I'll speak for myself. I don't rely on a president to take care of my life, right? Yeah. I take care of my life, right?
He's all the way up there, dude. Like, we're down here. Exactly, he's got to come down a bunch of fucking layers to get to me.
So I think people should focus on themselves and what they can do first, but that's another story. Hector, honestly, I don't know, man. I don't know who I want more. It's so tough, because there's things about the Dems I like. There's things about Trump I like, I can't give you an answer. I just don't know yet,
I was watching during the George Floyd protests. I watched a story you did when you just came out of work.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, these fucking riots. I don't know where you're living out in the burbs, right? Yeah. And you're like, they're fucking coming out here, man. Yeah. And you're like, I mean, you're a gun owner, right? You stand by the Second Amendment. So do I. I'm not a gun owner.
Yeah.
I need to be, but I do stand by the Second Amendment. I got rid of that liberal bullshit, like the Second Amendment's garbage. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, of course the government doesn't want anybody to have guns, right?
Yeah.
Just leave the guns to the police and the army and the soldiers.
Sorry.
Fuck you. So, but like, you seem to be, I mean, so Martin Luther King has that saying, right? Riot is the language of the unheard.
Yeah.
You didn't see that in those riots?
So I think there's a difference between rioting and protesting, right?
Yeah.
I think rioting destroys property, right? I think you can protest and get your point across, right? Like if there was 1 million people that shut down, Michigan Avenue, you would get eyeballs on that, right? I mean, you don't have to burn it down. And I think to riot, I am just against that, I'm all for protesting, right? Because it's gotten us to where we are, but I am against rioting. I think all that does is hurt. All of that is hurt the people that you're trying to like protest for, right? I mean, you burn down your own neighborhoods.
The comeback to that is it's not their neighborhood. It's owned by the bank. It's owned by the corner store. It's owned by somebody who doesn't even live in the neighborhood. Like nothing in the neighborhood is black owned. Not even the apartment buildings that they live in. They don't own that. They don't own their house, right? Let them miss a few fucking mortgages. The bank's gonna take that shit, right? So that's the comeback to that. Like it's not our neighborhood. We're burning it down because it's not our neighborhood.
That's a good point. But again, I'm against violence unless you need to, right? Like I'll defend myself. Like I got a gun. I will shoot if I have to, but I don't want to, I want to help. I want to help people build. I want to help people grow. But again, I understand it. I get it. I mean, so
what do you think about what do you think about the police issue?
Yeah.
Police crime. I mean, you and I, people who look like you and I and act like how we are, we got big fucking mouths, right?
Yeah.
And we act a fool. You've probably had as many run-ins with the police as I had, right?
I've had a couple, yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think's up with the police? Is it training? Is it what?
So generally speaking, I am pro-police, right? I am pro-police. I always have been. But you can't argue with some of the things that we've seen, right? Like I just saw one, a kid in Philadelphia. I don't know if you've seen this yet. Got shot like 12 times, and
he was having an episode, right? He was going crazy.
An episode, and he had a knife. So I get that. But again, there's two of you cops, right? Like you don't have to shoot him 12 times. You know what I mean?
A hunter goes to kill a deer, and they'll like, I have to place the bullet perfectly so I don't ruin the meat. But when it's a person, put fucking 12 shells in them?
So it's just, it's just a tough one because again, I mean, we aren't cops. And if somebody was chasing me with a knife, I don't know what I do, right? Like, you know
what I mean? It's a tough job. It's a tough job, but I'm not fucking saying that.
But I think there's two sides to everything, right?
Yeah.
And again, you know, I just don't watch the first knee-jerk reaction and just, oh, I'm for this or I'm for the police. I really want to see, all right, let's see how things plays out, right? So, I mean, who was the last guy in Kenosha that just got shot, but he's still alive? What's his name again? God, I can't think of his name. Geez, I can't think of his freaking name.
Oh, you mean the
guy from Wisconsin?
Yeah, where Wittenhouse was, right?
Wittenhouse was, right. So he got shot, and I saw some of my conservative friends say, well, that guy was a pedophile and he beat his wife. And so I guess the question is, does your prior actions justify you being shot? That's kind of a stretch, right? But again, it's just those things that each side, they look at what they want to see. So it's tough.
I mean, so and people liberals, you know, on the left, they're worried. They're like, okay, if Trump loses, you know, one, he's not going to graciously say on Twitter, he's not going to go to Twitter and say, good job, Joe Biden. You ran a heck of a race. Congratulations on the, you know, on your presidency. He's going to say they stole it. It's rigged. I'm not fucking leaving.
Yeah.
You know, hey, MAGA, rise up. Help me, you know, take your country back. What's going to happen? I mean, you're closer to it than I am. What's going to happen?
It's going to be scary, man. There's a lot of people on the right, on the far right, again, people that I don't fuck with, but a lot more deep than me, that, I mean, you just saw what happened to in Michigan, where they tried to kidnap Governor Whitmer, right?
Yeah.
That's a real thing, man. And that's the thing, and that's what I don't like about Trump, is he stokes the worst parts of us, right? And that's like Trump, if you didn't do that shit but did everything else, I mean, you would get a lot more fans, or people wouldn't be as afraid to support you. Because, I don't want a civil war, right? I don't think that you do. I think that the majority of us don't want that shit, you know? But he's just, man, yeah. I'll say this about Trump. He just goes hard. He goes 100%, man. And let the chips fall where they may, you know?
Yeah.
As scary as that is.
I really do think he's going to win. I mean, again, I don't care if, you know, it doesn't really matter if 5 million people vote for Biden more than if, you know, a fucking district outside of Philadelphia goes for Trump, or,
right.
You know, if he's going to win, he might win Texas, which is a huge fucking chunk of electoral votes. He might win. He's probably going to win Florida. He's probably going to win all these places that have huge chunks of votes, right?
Yeah.
And what do Democrats have? Oregon,
right?
Washington,
California.
Yeah. That's a big one, right? Illinois, but
big one. Illinois,
we might not. Still. Democrats might not win Wisconsin. They might not win Michigan. They might not win Pennsylvania.
They're so split, man. They're so evenly split, you know.
And I think if he does win, I mean, besides the policies, again, for the consciousness of the country, if he does win, then everybody who's saying, oh, you know, Trump is the worst thing and this is a mistake and we need to correct the mistake. If he wins again, you have to realize, face facts, he's not a mistake. He is America. This is what America wants. This is what America is. And so if you don't like him, if you don't like him, then you have to decide, oh, do I belong here? Is this my country, right?
And and think about this. If he does win again, there's a lot of people who are voting for him that you don't know are, right? Because you don't see, like, you know, it's like, wait a minute. How did he win? Who? I just talked to all these people and they're all for Biden and they're all this. Someone's voting for him when they get to that damn booth, man.
Well, it happened in 2008 where, like,
you know,
people were, they would ask likely voters, are you going to vote for Barack Obama? And white people would say, yes, I am. Just to be, because they were ashamed to say that they weren't.
They want to feel right.
Because when the vote came out, it was closer than the polls showed. Like, who the fuck? Obviously, people who said they were going to vote for Obama. But the same thing with, you know, there's a poll that just came out, like Latinos, you know, 25% of Latinos are going to vote for Trump, right? And I told everybody on social media, that's only the Latinos who are admitting that they're going to vote for Trump. They're not going to tell some fucking pollster, I'm voting for Trump. They're going to be like, no, They know what to say, right? We need to take this guy out of office, and then when they go in that fucking poll booth, Trump, you know?
Yeah.
And that's...
And dude, and I've heard this before, I know that you have, you know, politics is local, right? People care about, like, what's going to happen to them specifically. Of course, we care about our society, and we care about our, you know, our city and our state, But dude, like if you're good and your stock portfolio has gone up and your 401k has gone up, it's like, do I really want to change that?
There was a poll at the beginning, right? I think right before COVID. Are you better now than you were 4 years ago? And like most people said they were.
Yeah, because they're separating the COVID piece with everything else, and they're like, you know what? The fucking stock market, what was that? 28 freaking thousand points.
Yeah,
I'm doing pretty good, you know. So, Tuesday can't come soon enough, man. Right? It's gonna be.
And the pandemic showed, like you're saying, politics is local. We've heard that our whole life, but it's so fucking true. Like, the COVID shows that what we learned is you need to have a fucking badass mayor.
Yeah.
And a good governor. The president is besides the point. He can because all Trump can do is say, "Don't do that," but he has no power.
Yeah, the fucking governor really control. I mean, he controls the shit, right? So depending on where you live, man, it could be night and day. You know, I know people in Illinois are pissed off because we haven't had sports like college sports or IHSA sports, and you can go to Indiana and Wisconsin and they're playing sports. So, and again, depending on where you sit on that side, you know, obviously I am on the COVID side where. You know, I don't think that masks do much, and I think it's overblown. But I understand if people think the opposite. I get it, man. If you're afraid of it, I get it. I'm not going to shame you for that. But yeah, dude.
My wife's super for it. She doesn't like to go to restaurants. I'm like, yeah. I try to go to a restaurant every weekend, right? Yeah. And she's like, "Are you fucking insane?" And I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I'm 35. I'm in pretty good health, right? I take my vitamin D. If I get it. I'm probably might show symptoms. I might not. If I die, that's that's just like a what 5% chance that I die from it. But there's a 5% chance that I'm gonna get hit by a fucking car, man.
0.5%. That's what I'm saying. And look at me, man. I mean, I'm in pretty great shape, and I had it 4 months ago, right?
Yeah.
It's just when you break it down, like all this fear, it's like, well, dude. I mean, if you're gonna be afraid of something that has a 0.5% chance of killing you, then you should be afraid of freaking taking a shit. Right? Because you can have a fucking stroke on a damn toilet. Like you just if that's how you want to think, then you should be afraid of driving your goddamn car or hopping on a plane. Yeah. I mean, are you kidding? Or getting shot by a cop? Like there's so many more things that are gonna happen that could kill you faster than COVID. So
you can't live your life with fear, man.
You can't, man. You can't.
I mean, for me, COVID, if you have a high risk of catching it and dying from it, then stay your ass inside.
Stay in. 100%.
For the rest of us, young, 40 and under, 100%. Healthy, get out there, man.
What happens?
Take precautions. Stay away. Don't go to a fucking concert. But
and if you get it, you get the fucking antibodies, and then you're good to go, baby. Like I can
Trump
go anywhere
got
now.
It.
You know,
Trump is the least healthy fucker in the world, right?
Slob,
all the drugs he's taken, fucking coke he snorted out of prostitutes' assholes, right?
A fucking KFC, you know, like he's a freaking slob, you know.
And he kicked it in 3 days,
now,
man.
Mind you, now. So he obviously had some great doctors and
steroids and shit like that, right?
All that shit, but still, man, he still freaking survived that shit, right?
Yeah, so it's not Ebola.
It's not. And that's the thing that I don't understand, bro. If this was the fucking Spanish flu, the average age of death was fucking 28, I'd be the first one in the fucking house, right? I'm not stupid.
That's me. But when when it started, it said 60 and over. I was like, oh, great.
Like,
I can skip this pandemic.
Why are we flipping out about this shit? Why? Because we're being programmed to get Trump out. So
yeah, fear, man. Fear. The media just gins up fear, right? Fear of this, fear of that, fear. If you're a Republican, fear of immigrants, and fear of liberals, fear of Antifa. If you're a liberal, fear of COVID, fear of KKK, fear of whatever.
I mean, how many people would know that crime in this country the past 20 years have dropped dramatically?
I was just telling my wife that.
Like, how many people would even know that? All you see is, freaking Chicago, the murders, and look at the. I mean, and yeah, but it's dropped dramatically.
It's safe. We're living in the safest time to live as a human being in the history of human society.
Think about that shit, right? But you would never know.
Cars are safer. Car accidents are down. Everything's down.
Would never fucking know, man. Like, right? Like, I can turn on the TV right now. I guarantee you, someone has COVID. Someone got shot. You think the world's coming to an end? It's just crazy how they program us, man. You know?
Wow, man. Well, it's fucking great talking to you, man.
Dude, it's been fun too, brother. Man, I fucking miss you, dude.
For sure. I mean, I got to bring you back on. I was just thinking, like, it's crazy, that. I don't know why you and Chris don't have your own fucking show, man. Just go back and forth on this shit, man. People would listen to that. People would watch that.
Well, I would be back on his, and I would love to come back on yours too. After the damn election, I'll do a post-election recap or something.
That would be good, man.
We'll see what happens, you know?
Yeah. I mean, depends. If I might have to go underground if they might come for my ass. No, I mean, again, I'm not
buy that gun,
fearful
man.
like that.
Buy that gun.
I'm not for fear. I got to buy that gun, but I'm not fearful of like the fucking. What do we think we live?
Dude, programming, man.
It's people who don't like you and I too. I mean, you're from my high school. Did you go to the middle school with me too, right? Holmes, right?
Yep, Holmes, absolutely.
And we hung out with a diverse group of people, you and I, right? Yeah. And so I think we just understand people better, right? Like everybody's got their shit, but there's a few crazy people, but they're not just white people. They're not just black people. No, they're in every group.
They're every freaking skin color in the world, man. Skin is, your skin is just skin deep, bro. You know what I mean? So
I didn't even. I'll get to this in another episode. Biracial. I mean, I'm biracial too. So like, like. What? My black side hates my white side, and they both hate my brown side. What the fuck?
Yeah, man. Like, how do you even? Yeah, I was talking about that on Chris's podcast too, and it's it's not an easy answer because it's like I'm just me, and you're just you, right? Like,
but I mean, I think being biracial shows you intuitively teaches you that race is bullshit.
Yeah.
Because what do I feel? Black? Do I feel white? Right. What do I feel? I don't feel. I feel like me.
And who programmed us to think that we talk black or talk white, right? So again, but that's for another show. So
yeah, we don't want to get people too angry. But thanks, man. Where should people find? I guess on Twitter. Man. You're on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. Let's do Instagram. It's Mike MacJR85 at Instagram. I'll be on there. I'm friends with Hector. So hey, man, come and find me. So.
Yeah, for sure. I'll have you back on, man. And good luck. And I'll keep in touch, man. Have a good weekend, bro.
Same to you, buddy. Yep, I'll see you soon, buddy. Thank you.